Okay. Alright. So, punta rin ako sa...
Hello? Okay. Ms.
Yes.
Michelle, we're now live on
Yes.
Facebook. Good evening, everyone.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good,
Hi, good evening.
afternoon. Yes. And all right. Okay.
Okay, good evening. Oh, well, Miss Michelle is doing her fixing her screen. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, IFNG. Good evening, Niner. So for tonight, we will be having another fun-filled lecture with our fun-filled lecturer, Sir Fritz Nolasco. Sir Miss Michelle, kindly introduce Sir Fritz.
All right. Once again, good evening to everyone, IFNG 9.09ers followers from sa Zoom and to our viewers in Facebook. And once again, we are on our Ielts reading lecture series. And our topic for tonight is overview of reading test strategies. And our speaker for tonight is an IELTS communication trainer. And he's a grammar specialist from 9.09er. And guys, without further ado, let's all welcome Sir Fritz Nolasco. Sir Fritz?
Hello, thank you, Michelle, for the warm introduction. And so thank you. So good day to everyone. So good evening to people here in the Philippines and as well as if you're in the Middle East, as I would assume most of you are. So good afternoon to you guys. And yeah, so I'll just have to start off introducing myself. My name is Fritz, and I'm a part of the Niner IELTS Review Center. So I'm one of the communications trainer, and well, I conduct lectures and at the same time also do conduct one-on-one coaching. So some of you here might already be like students of Niner, so you guys have met me in class. Although I don't normally turn on my cameras during the live lectures online review, but normally I turn on my cameras for FB Live like this one. So this might be the first time you guys might be seeing me turning on camera. So guys, as mentioned, we're going to focus on the reading test for tonight's session. And well, I will have to spend the first 10 minutes before I start with the lecture. I will have to spend the first 10 minutes to for you guys to prepare the materials. No, kasi for us to go through the discussion, you need to prepare the materials that we'll be using for tonight's session. So guys, if you check on our messages, so let me just resend it into our Facebook live chat messages. Please check on the link I posted. So I will be requesting you to please open the documents that I shared with you. So there are three materials there. And in particular, I will be asking you to open the reading material for FB Live. So that's what we're going to use for tonight's session. Okay, so let me just share my screen first, and I will be setting the timer para makita nyo how much time left we have to prepare the materials. So yeah, so there. So guys, we'll start in 10 minutes. I'll just be requesting you guys to prepare the materials first before we start. Okay. So guys, yeah, so my apologies because I think there are some restrictions with the material that I asked you to download. So I'll just have to update the link I'll be sending you. Some of you might have some trouble accessing the link. So if you can just spare me one moment to send you the correct link first. Okay, so guys, please refer to our chat messages. I updated the link, so you'd be able to access the link that I am requesting you to prepare. I'll also be sending it here sa ating sa Zoom. Those who are included in the Zoom invite, right? So please click on the link that I shared via our chat messages. Ayan. So yeah, so good evening to Jenna. So Jenna, of course, is one of our beloved admin staff at Niner. So she's watching right now. So good evening sa'yo, Jenna. So just a little background, guys. The reading test for today, or the reading discussion that we'll have for today, it's entitled "Overview of Reading Strategies." No? So in a short span of time, I'd like to discuss with you some strategies, techniques that hopefully can help you to get a better score in the reading test. So there are strategies that you can apply, considering, of course, that you have very limited time on the actual test. You're only given 1 hour to accomplish some 40 answers to some 40 questions. No? So we cannot afford to read the entire passage. So as we discover later, and I'm pretty sure that this is something, or whatever I'll be covering for today, this has been mentioned many times over in previous lectures that you have attended during the past weeks. No, so I just need to reiterate it, and hopefully, you'll be learning something new from today's session. Yeah. So let me just resend it to our chat messages first. Yeah, before we start. So, guys, we still have 5 minutes left before I formally start with the discussion. So should you have questions, guys, by the way, or clarification throughout the class, so feel free to use our chat messages to send in your questions. And from time to time, I'm going to look into it and try my best to answer the questions. I also have to acknowledge, of course, Irvin is watching us actually tonight. So hello, Irvin. So of course, Irvin is our president, no, the CEO of Niner Ielts Review Center. So he's actually gracing our audience night right now on our FB Live. So welcome, Irvin. So yeah, so we'll start in 5 minutes or 4 minutes. Okay, so guys, we'll start in 3 minutes time. So please make sure that you prepare the material, the reading material for tonight's session. Okay, so I just want to confirm because I think some of you might have a hard time accessing the link. So guys, can you check? Can someone check or confirm with me if you are able to access the reading material? Yeah, so someone mentioned that he couldn't access it. So I just have to make sure that you guys can open it. So you need to have a Gmail account open on your phone for you to be able to access it. So the previous link I posted, by the way, guys, that's not accessible. So you have to click on the one that I just posted. I posted just now, right? The latest link. Okay, so we'll start in 1 minute. Okay, so yeah, so I think that's ample time, guys, for you to prepare the materials. So let's now proceed and let's now start with our live discussion. Okay, so as mentioned, we're going to talk about the reading tests. And my objective for tonight is for me to discuss with you the reading test strategies that we share to our students on our online review. So, of course, I'm from Niner, so that's 9.0 Niner IELTS Review Center, and I'm one of the communications trainer slash lecturer there who facilitate the lectures, which includes, of course, some reading discussion. So, I'd like to start off, guys. Let me now turn to the next pages then first. So just a little background, because I would assume some of you here are totally clueless as to what to expect on the exam. So allow me to share an overview of the reading test before I provide some strategies. So the reading test of your IELTS would consist of around 1 hour. And within that 1 hour, you're supposed to answer some 40 questions in total. And in the IELTS exam, there are two different modules that you will be asked to take. Well, whether to take the academic or general training module. So you'll have to make sure that you talk with the right person. It could either be the visa consultant or the recruitment agency or the one who's working on your application abroad. And he will guide you as to whether to take the academic or the general training module. So it's very important, guys, that you know which module to take because You cannot interchange them. So if now you discover that okay, I have to take the GT module instead of the academic, so you'll have to retake the entire exam. So you have to make sure that you check the correct module you're supposed to take. So, whether you're taking the academic or the general training, you will be asked to answer some 40 questions. And the difficulty level for the questions and the length of passages normally would be longer in the academic module. So, we're talking about just around 500 to 700 word articles for every passage then, no? So it actually consists of a lot of words, and the questions are more challenging, relatively more challenging compared to the GT or the general training module. For the GT, even though that it accounts for more passages, it's around 45 passages, the passages are relatively shorter and the questions are much easier for you to answer then. Okay, so I just want to differentiate those two modules. Here I have your academic and as well as general training. So for those students or those who wish to enroll at Niner, we offer various reading modules, mock exams, skills enhancement classes, and even lectures similar to what we're having right now. So that's of course part of the review package that we offer to our online students then. So just a little background, of course, as to what we offer at Niner. So please check on our page as well. That's 9.0 Niner online review. And of course, we do have promos to offer to our students. No? So please keep yourself updated. So let me now continue with a few items here. Excuse me. So the challenge really, guys, for the reading test is it all boils down to the time constraint, right? You don't have the entire day to read the entire passages then and answer the questions and really take your time to answer them, and you have the entire day to do it. So you're only given 1 hour, remember, and therefore you cannot afford to waste precious time, precious seconds or precious minutes in the reading test by one reading the passages completely and trying your best to to fully understand the entire passage before you actually even attempt answering the questions then, no? So we do not recommend, actually we strongly discourage the students to read the passages because it's going to be a complete waste of time. And therefore, there are techniques and strategies, no, or tips, whatever you call it, that you'd be able to apply then in order for you to maximize the time you're given, which is, of course, 1 hour. So let me now introduce to you a few tips. No? But before I talk about the tips and strategies, I also want to stress that the reading test, your success to the reading test, is not entirely dependent on these strategies, right? I mean, these strategies you can use as a tool, as an instrument to make it easier for you, to make it more efficient for you to answer the questions. But at the end of the day, the reading test is a test of comprehension, right? It assesses whether you're able to understand written English, right? Written articles for that matter. It's your ability, they're assessing your ability to understand questions in English then. Okay. And as such, you don't just simply depend on strategies, guys. The reading test, it requires two important aspects. One, your ability to apply the strategies, which we're going to cover for tonight. And second one is your ability to understand written English. Okay? Excuse me. So when we talk about comprehension, so let's I just have to, to discuss this, no, and talk about this. I'll just simply call it as elephant in the room. So comprehension is not something that can be taught by simply attending like lectures that we have for tonight, for instance, or attending lectures like online review. No, so I just have to be honest with you guys that you cannot improve on your comprehension overnight. So the thing is, with comprehension, it's really about a person's range of vocabulary. So if you consider yourself to have a wide range of vocab, then I think it would be to your advantage that you'd be getting a better score in the reading test, and at the same time, your proficiency in terms of your knowledge, in terms of how sentences are constructed in English, especially if you have like a long sentence on the passage. And sometimes the long sentences can be really tough or can be really challenging to understand. So a person who knows how sentences are constructed in English would have a better chance of understanding the content. Okay, so I just need to clarify this. No, kasi many times over sometimes students get disappointed that they still don't get a good score for the reading test, even though that they have applied the reading strategies that we discuss here in class. And that is why I just have to point this one out, that part of your success is one's comprehension level. And this is not something that can be spoon fed to students if you just simply attend lectures. We're talking about constant practice, just like any skill. Like for example, if you're learning how to speak, or you're learning how to cook, or you're learning how to drive, you don't just simply watch someone do it, but you actually try it yourself. And that is why I always encourage the students on online review that you have to constantly practice on the reading tests, right? So we do have lots of mock exams, reading exercises that we offer to students then. And hopefully through constant practice, you'd be able to really work on your vocabulary and at the same time your grammatical range. So you'd be able to work on your comprehension in no time then. Okay. Now, there's really no magic number as to how many times you need to prepare or practice on a weekly basis, because really each one of us would have varying comprehension level. I mean, someone like a person A could just simply practice once in a while, but person B might have a different situation. This person might require more constant practice. So, you just have to make sure that you know yourself, assess yourself, how much reading preparation are you expected to have in order for you to improve your score, and of course be able to get whatever score you need for the reading test. Okay, so there. So now that we introduce comprehension, and as mentioned, no, so we'll be discussing the tips and strategies. So allow me to share to you some of the tips that we offer or we discuss to our students. So let me just discuss it part by part. So for one, this might sound counterintuitive, no, and I'm not really sure if other lecturers would also recommend this. But in my class, I often state that you don't really read the passage, right? At any rate, you're not going to be assessed in terms of your full understanding of the passage, whether you fully understand it or not. They're assessing whether you were able to answer the questions correctly. And therefore, instead of reading the passages, because again, you have very limited time, so you cannot afford to read it, so I recommend that you go straight to the questions. So I think that would be one of the wisest thing that you can possibly do on the reading test, to go straight to the question. And from the question, you'd be able to try to, read the question itself and try to identify keywords, right? So if you check on this one, no, so number 3, so identify keywords. So making sure that you understand the keywords and how the keywords were positioned in the sentence itself. What's the context? What is the question asking from you? So it's very important that we make sure that we understand, we completely understand it. And we use those keywords for us to be led to the portion of the passage which needs to be focused on. Okay, so you can think of these keywords as simply for form of like key, or simply like these are like reference, no? Excuse me, reference that should lead you to the proper part of the passage that you're going to focus on. So once you see those keywords found on the passage, then that's when you get to isolate. That's when you get to take time to read that portion of the passage. Then, okay, so there. So I hope that's clear for the first three items I have on my screen. Now, I also introduced to you this concept. So pretty sure that this might not be the first time you'll ever hear about this technique. So I would assume on previous reading discussions, your lecturers could have mentioned about this technique already. It's about scanning, no? So I'd like to think of scanning like when you scan a certain passage, you don't really need to read every bit of word on the sentence or on the passage. So it's like using your fingertip. And using your fingertip, you simply just scan through the words, scan through the sentences, and your objective is to simply look for keywords, 'di ba? So yun yung idea ng scanning. So we use scanning if you're looking for something specific. So say for example, there are questions like fill in the blanks, or questions like multiple choice, or questions like true false not given, no? Which I think is one of the most dreaded type of question on the reading test, and probably some of you are looking forward for me to discuss about how to answer true false not given types of questions. So we'll be talking about that later. So anyway, the purpose of scanning is for us to look for something specific. So let's have an exercise on scanning. So let's try to assess, no, how good you are in terms of looking for keywords. So I want you guys to open your file. So let me just open my copy as well. So you'd be able to see what I'm talking about. So for those who came in just now, so welcome guys, and I'll just be sending through our Facebook Messenger the link for your reference then. Just give me one moment to pull it out and send it to you sa Facebook Messenger. Okay. So let's try out scanning, no? So yung scanning, madali lang naman, no? So hahanap ka lang naman ng mga keywords dito. So for example, guys, no? So if you turn to paragraph 3. So I'll just go straight with paragraph 3 muna. So I'll ask you, can you tell me guys, within paragraph 3, can you tell me which what do you call this? Which line number? Which line number mentions Africa, right? So I repeat, I ask you the question, which line number you think, all right, in paragraph 3 mentions about the word Africa? Yeah, so madali lang, diba? So you don't need to read the entire paragraph, but you just have to simply, look for that word Africa. So can you tell me guys, like which line number you'd be able to find, or you'd be able to look for the word Africa or African for that matter? So I'll just make it easy question first, and I just have to look into our chat messages. So can you identify guys on paragraph 3, which which line number did it mention about Africa or African? No, so fairly easy. Madali lang siya, 'di ba? So that's basically what we did, is scanning. 'Di ba? You did not really read the entire paragraph, but you simply search for a certain word, right? And yes, yeah, you can find it on the last line. That's actually correct. That's correct. Kairiza. Yeah, so it's the last line. No? So ito. So madali lang, no? So that's basically the concept of scanning. Now, you look for something specific. Now, what makes scanning a bit more challenging is sometimes you will have to depend on synonyms, right? So sometimes ganun yung nangyayari, no? You'll have to depend on synonyms. And let's try out a short exercise on synonyms, guys. So let me share my screen. I'll be sharing this one. So I would assume that you have opened your copy of today's reading material, because for the next part, let's try to finish it siguro kahit mga 6 minutes. I'll give you 6 minutes. I want you to look for synonyms. So when I say synonyms, these are words that would share the same meaning, excuse me, of the words that are found on my screen. So what I'd ask you to do is to look for a word that is synonymous to the word that I have on my screen. So in total, there are 10 questions. No? And just a little clue, the answers to these 10 questions are not in random. No? So yung sagot sa number 1 comes before number 2, and comes before number 3, comes before number 4, and so on and so forth. So they will be revealing themselves in sequence for these 10 items. So guys, time on my clock is 9:34. I will give you until 9:40. I'll give you 6 minutes to answer the questions I have on the 10 items on my screen. So I'll get back to you at 9:40. Okay, so guys, for those who joined us just now, please refer to our chat messages. So I sent the material for today's session. So that would serve as your reference in looking for synonyms for the 10 words I'm flashing on my screen. So we'll start checking it at 9:40. Okay, so guys, we'll start checking in 1 minute. Okay, right. So guys, for those who are having trouble accessing the links FB Live, so please click on the latest link I posted. So that should be the one that is open to the public, because the previous link earlier has some restrictions. So I just have to change the setting of the, well, the latest link then. So make sure that you copy the link that I just shared with you just a few seconds ago. So let me just resend it once more. Okay, so so let's start checking your answers. So I want you guys to share to me your answers to the following 10 items. So the first word is the word involve. So can you tell me, like, is there a synonym? What do you think would be a possible synonym for this first word on my screen, the word involved? So this is a past participle. So we're expecting us also a past participle as well. So can you guys, yeah, feel free to use our chat messages to share your answers to the question. So first word is the word involved. Okay, correct. Yeah, so Bazzy got it right. Rodelin also got it right as well. Mela, correct. Yeah, that's right. Then on Facebook Live, that's actually correct. So we're looking for the word engaged. Yeah, so tama yun. So the word is engaged for the first question. Number two, so we're looking for this adverb, the word widely. Yeah, so guys, I just need to request you guys to please make sure that you kindly mute your microphone. So I hear some nice noise disturbance. So guys, make sure to please mute it. So the second word, the word is widely. So we're looking for a synonym for the word widely. And guys, when you're looking for a synonym, by the way, it needs to be in the same part of speech. So the word widely is an adverb. So we're supposed to look for an adverb as well. I mean, you cannot use an adjective to be a synonym for the word widely. Widely is an adverb. So we're supposed to look for a fellow adverb then. So the answer is okay. Yeah, correct. So you got it right, Mela. Angie got it right as well. The answer, guys, for number two is predominantly. So that's correct. Jasmine on FB Live got it right as well. That's correct. So predominantly is what we're looking for. And for third question, so let's move on to the third number, the word vary. So what do you think is a synonym for that word vary? No, ano ba yung possible na synonym ng word na vary? So it's a verb. The word vary is a verb. So we're looking for a word which is also a verb, right? So what do we think is the correct answer here for the third question? Yes. Yeah, correct. Carla, Cabell, you got it right as well. Yeah, tama. Beverly Ann, you got it right as well. Okay, so guys, we're looking for that word differ. Right, that's the correct one. So differ is right for the third question. And for number four, the word spend. So guys, what do you think is a possible synonym for this word, spend? Any idea or any suggestion? Yeah. So I'll give you a clue. It begins with the letter O. It begins with the letter O for this word, spend. Yeah, starts with the letter O. I'm not really sure though if it's found on the third paragraph, but that's somewhere on the first page. Okay. Right, so Ninzi, that's right. Maricor got it right as well. How about people on FB Live? So Any thought as what word we're looking for the fourth question, the word spend? Expand might be a possible synonym, but it's not exactly a related word or a direct synonym for the word we're looking for. But guys, for this number, we're looking for the word outlay. Right. So if you guys, let me just type it in on our chat messages on FB Live. So the answer for this number is the word outlay for the fourth question. Okay, so let's continue with number 5. So the word is measurement. So guys, can you suggest which number you think is a synonym for this word measurement? Yeah, so any idea? Measurement, sabi niya, for this number, right? Measurement. So we're looking for a noun when you say measurement. I think you'd be able to find it on the second paragraph, guys. I'll give you a clue. It begins with the letter I. Right. So I repeat, for the fifth question, it's somewhere on paragraph 2, and it begins with the letter I. Right. Measurement. So any suggestion? It begins with the letter I for this word, measurement. Yeah. Okay, correct. Yeah, so someone got it right. Pam, Bazzy, on Zoom meeting got it right. So we're looking for indication. Right, so that's a correct one for this number 5 question. And for number 6, so we continue with the sixth number. The word basic, we're looking for a synonym. Yeah, so what is that word? No, the word basic. So I'll give you a clue. The word basic, the synonym we're looking for begins with the letter E. Right, so any suggestion? Yeah, the word basic. Yeah, it begins with the letter E. Yeah, basic. So any suggestion? No, it's not essential, but that's a good try, right? But we're looking for another word, basic. I think if you'd be able to locate it, it could be found somewhere on paragraph 3. Right, it's somewhere on paragraph 3. All right. Okay. Um, primary might be a close synonym to it, but not exactly the word we're looking for. So guys, the answer is, yeah, so I think Grodelin got it right. Hale also got it right. So guys, the answer for this number, for number 6, the word we're looking for is elementary. Right, so that's correct. So it's elementary for this number. And we continue with the remaining 4 questions. No? So for number 7, the word bypass. So any suggestion? What do you think would be a possible synonym for this word, bypass? Right. So suggestion. So here, I think you'd be able to find it somewhere, I think on the same paragraph still. Yeah. And I think some of you got it right already. So yeah, my apologies because I think there's a delay in FB Live. So yeah, so some of chat messages on FB Live come in to me delayed versus the ones who are responding sa Zoom meeting natin. But anyway, I think those who got it right sa chat messages sa Zoom, you got it correctly. So Rodelyn, Jess, you got it right. So we're looking for overlooked. So if you're able to see it somewhere on the paragraph, it's actually overlooked, right? For this number, no. So what question was that? So you have the word bypassed. Okay, so next one, the word affordable. Yeah, so any suggestion, guys? You're looking for a synonym which could be found in the passage. So what do you think is a synonym for this word? So you'd be able to find a synonym for the word affordable on page 2. So it's somewhere on the 4th paragraph, right? So any Okay, correct. Yeah, so we're looking for that word, guys. It's inexpensive, right? So I just have to reiterate that the answer for this number, that's number 8, is the word inexpensive, is the correct one. Okay, now last two questions. So let's continue with number 9. The word is prerequisite. So start with that, prerequisite, no? So what is a possible synonym for that word prerequisite? Right? So let's see. Yeah, so Bazzi got it right already. How about others? Right? So it's found on page 2 still. Yeah, so it's on the second page. And I think if I'm mistaken, it's somewhere on the fourth paragraph. So the word we're looking for is prelude. Correct. That's correct, Mela. Yeah, so you got it right. No? So prelude is the correct one. Okay, so we still have a few questions left. Okay, yeah, the last one. So for number 10, the word crunch. Let's go over that number. Number 10, crunch. So what is a synonym for that word? The word crunch, right? So if you'd be able to see it, you'd be able to find it somewhere on page 2 still. And if I'm not mistaken, it's found on paragraph 6. Yeah, so if you're following the passage, you'd be able to find it on paragraph 6. So I'll give you a clue. It begins with the letter S. Right, so it begins with the letter S for this number, number 10 question. So I repeat, we're looking for the word crunch, a synonym for this word, and the word is what? Yeah, it's squeeze, correct. So most of you got it right sa ano natin sa meeting natin, sa Zoom meeting natin. Right. So the word is squeeze. That's correct. Okay. So guys, what we just did, it was just a quick exercise on scanning. Okay, so on the exam, scanning helps, right? And be prepared to look for synonyms, because sometimes they won't give you the exact word found on the question and you're able to find it on the passage. So you have to prepare yourself to look for synonyms. And that's why, as you recall, kanina sabi ko, there is an advantage to those who have wide range of vocab. And that's why on our online review at Niner, we do offer a lot of vocabulary classes to our students, in the hope, of course, that the vocab classes would help them improve on their knowledge and improve them in terms of their skill set in preparation for their exam. So there, excuse me. So that's for this 10 items. Okay. All right. So guys, I'll just have to switch back to the discussion that I have on the handout. So if you just spare me a few moments, I'll just have to transfer screen. And I'll just have to update, if in case you came in just now, guys, so welcome, ulit. And please refer to our chat messages on FB Live. I sent the material for today's session for your reference. So just to recap, we've covered the first 4 tips already. So I just have to reread it. First, you don't need to read the passages. Number 2, you go straight to the questions. Third number, you select your keywords. And the fourth one is to apply scanning. And this, of course, is applicable if you have to search or look for something specific. So now, let me now continue with the 5th item on my screen. So the 5th item on my screen tells me that I need to be familiar with the types of questions that can possibly come out on the reading test. And I just want to share with you these common types of questions. So one of the most common is multiple choice. And honestly speaking, I really find it one of the most challenging, no, yung multiple choice. Because it's time consuming. You need to read the question, and at the same time, you also have to read the choices. And it can be time consuming to actually read the choices, no? And that's why dito papasok ulit yung idea natin ng scanning. Kasi you'll have to select keywords found on each of the choice, and that should hopefully lead you to the proper part of the passage that you're supposed to read. So we can apply scanning for multiple choice types of questions. And the same also goes for, excuse me, for fill in the blanks type, diba? So yung mga fill in the blanks type, very important guys that you have to make sure that you read what the instruction tells you. So if the instruction tells you that you limit your answer to just one word, or should you limit your answer to two words, then you'll have to make sure that we follow it accordingly, right? So in the IELTS exam, people who do not follow instruction, you get to suffer greatly there. You don't get any point, even though that you got the answer right. But if you did not follow the instruction as to how many words you're supposed to write, so unfortunately, you don't get any point in there. So make sure that we read the instructions. And of course, I think this is, of course, most of you, your favorite, yung true, false, not given, which we'll be talking about that later. And letter D, so you have matching headings. So basically, before I talk about true, false, not given, I just need to also stress matching headings. No? So matching headings are the types of questions where you have to match the heading, or I'll just call it titles. I think it's more easier for us to understand if I just call it titles. So we're looking for, excuse me, the best title that would fit the no the passage, no, kasi for every paragraph, especially for academic modules, the paragraphs are normally enumerated, no, so Roman numeral yan. So you'll have to determine the best title for each paragraph that we have, right? So that's what we call matching headings. And for matching headings, I'd like to introduce to you another concept. So kung kanina, yung mga fill in the blanks, mga multiple choice types of questions, we apply the scanning technique and the true, false, not given. Now, for matching headings, we get to apply a different technique, an entirely different technique. And this is what we call skimming. And if scanning is really meant for looking for something specific, if you want to look for something general, like a general idea, like for example, if you're looking for a title for a paragraph, then you'd be able to apply this technique, skimming technique. So let's talk about it. What's the idea behind skimming technique then? So let me now discuss to you guys the details. Now, skimming understands that when you have a certain paragraph, right? So let's talk about the anatomy of the paragraph, of a paragraph. Normally, if you were to write a paragraph, guys, normally the first sentence you establish the topic. So we normally call it a topic sentence. No? So the first sentence we already provide a glimpse as to what the entire paragraph is all about. And in that sense, the first sentence would normally serve as your best reference for the title, or the best title for the entire paragraph, because after all, that's when you get to see the topic on the first sentence. Okay? Now, if you continue writing the paragraph, so you continue with the second sentence, you continue with the third, with the fourth sentence. Normally, these sentences, these succeeding sentences would give you details, would give you examples, would give you elaboration then, but it doesn't really give much about the general idea of the paragraph. They simply, you can think of them as a simple like support statements, no? Pero yung pinaka main topic natin could still be found on the very first sentence. Okay? Now, when you wrap up a paragraph, no, so when you now lead yourself to the last sentence, the last sentence tries to conclude and tries to wrap everything up for the entire paragraph. So what am I trying to say? For you to know the title of a paragraph, you don't need to read the entire paragraph then, because it's going to eat a lot of time doing that. No, not unless, of course, guys, if it's a short paragraph. We're talking about like 3-sentence paragraph. Minsan may mga ganun mga 2 or 3 sentence paragraph. Then by all means, just try to read the entire paragraph. No? So wala naman siya mawawala. Pero this skimming technique where you get to only focus on the first and the last sentences of the paragraph, I definitely encourage you to try this skimming technique if you have a lengthier paragraph, kung medyo mahaba yung mga paragraphs natin, and considering that you're running out of time and you cannot afford to read the entire paragraph, so I recommend that you try out this skimming technique. So the idea is that if you're looking for the best title for a paragraph, you just have to simply focus on the first and on the last sentences of the paragraph then. Of course, there would be some exceptions to the rule. Kasi may mga paragraph tayo in English na hindi mo naman makikita kaagad sa first sentence yung title. But most often than not in the Ielts exam, most paragraph would normally include on the first sentence, or it could be the first two sentences, the main topic of the paragraph then. And with that knowledge, you'd be able to apply this skimming technique, which I'm talking about. Okay? So what we're going to do, guys, for the next portion is to try to apply this idea or this skimming technique na sinasabi natin. So guys, I want you to go back to the material, to the reading material that we were referring to earlier. So I'll also be sharing my screen as well. For everyone's reference. And I'll just have to resend it ulit, guys, sa ating chat messages for those who were not able to get a copy of the link kanina. So I'll just have to resend it once more sa FB Live. So just give me one moment before I talk about the questions. Okay, so guys, refer to our chat messages. So I resent the link for today's reading material. So we will be using that in order for us to try out sample skimming questions. Okay, so guys, in your copy, I want you to turn to page. So yeah, let's try page 3. Right, so the third page, I want you to refer to your third page then. So I'm flashing it on my screen, right? But I want you to open your own copy para mas madali na masundan. So on page 3, you're presented some questions, no? And I want you to look into the questions numbers 4 until 9, right? So if you guys look into it, so you have questions 4 until 9 in there. So right above questions 4 to 9, excuse me, you're presented some choices. And this would serve as the list of titles. No? So meron tayong mga listahan ng mga choices. Kaya siya matching headings. So we'll have to choose the best title that would fit the following paragraph. So let's try paragraph. Before we answer number 4, let's just go over the choices. No? So tignan natin yung isa-isa yung mga choices. So letter A, I'll start with the first option, heterogeneity in the language classroom. So when say heterogeneity, guys, just a little definition. It's about diversity. It's about the mixture, the combination, iba-ibang lahi, in other words, no? So that's heterogeneity. So it's about diversity. And for letter B, it says their enrollment demand in Australia and New Zealand. So fairly easy, madali lang naman yung mga words dyan, no? And letter C, the reasons for the choice of destination. And letter D, the attractions of studying and the antipodes. And guys, in case you're wondering what I mean by antipodes, it's basically referring to the southern hemisphere. And in particular, it refers to these two countries. You have Australia and New Zealand. And of course, the letter E is given as an example. And letter F, additional student sources. And letter G, you have student destination. Okay, so now that we familiarize ourselves with the titles, let's try to answer the fourth question, paragraph 1. So let me just go to the first page. So guys, if you return to page 1 ulit, and here you're presented the first paragraph. Okay, so let's look into the first paragraph. So we see that the first paragraph only consists of three sentences. So we ask ourselves, is it necessary for me to apply the skimming technique, or should I just simply read the entire paragraph? No? So sabi natin kanina, ang skimming technique, it applies if you have lengthier paragraph. Eh. So kung meron ka mga 5 or 6 sentences, then you can use skimming. Pero kung short paragraph lang siya, then I do not recommend to apply skimming technique. And what we're going to do then is just simply read the entire paragraph for the first one. So I'll have to read it. Okay. So what does the first sentence say? So I'll just have to highlight this portion first. So it says, at any given time, more than 1 million international students around the world are engaged in the study of the English language in a predominantly English-speaking country. Then it continues. No? So I'll read the second sentence here. The 5 most popular destinations in order of popularity are the US, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. And the last sentence, I'll continue reading this portion. The reasons for choosing to study English abroad differ with each individual, as do the reasons for the choice of destination. So sometimes you need to read it twice, or you might need to read it 3 times in order for you to fully absorb what the first paragraph is telling us, right? But of course, make sure that you have to read it as fast as you could, no? Kasi you don't want to waste too much time. So now that we read the first paragraph, I'd like to ask you guys, so you guys can participate and tell me on page 3, which do you think is the best title? So among the choices, letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter F, and as well as G. Of course, letter E is an example, so you just have to forget about it. But what do you think was the best title among the choices? So I'd like to hear your thoughts. You guys can participate onto our chat messages and tell me, what do you think is the best title that would fit question number 4? Okay. So I see some people here sa Zoom meeting natin would answer letter G. And on FB Live, I think some of you, Claire Sanchez also answered letter G as well, right? Okay. So if you say letter G, then that means student destination, right? That's student destination for letter G, right? How about others? So I think most of you answered letter G. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's fairly easy. Correct. So you guys got it right. So yeah, the correct answer is G. Yes, no. So I think that's fairly easy, no, kasi kung nakita natin yung first paragraph, the first paragraph clearly states the different destinations that students go to for studying, 'di ba? If you recall, there was an enumeration which includes the US, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada to be their top destinations then. Now, I also want to clarify because I see that some of you answered letter C. So I just have to point that one out. No? So I understand why some of you answered letter C. So if you guys look into letter C, sabi niya, reasons for the choice of destination. And that's quite understandable. Kasi kung nakita nyo yung first paragraph, the first or the last sentence clearly mentions the reasons for the choice of destination. So some of you might be thinking that it's supposed to be letter C, right? Dapat letter C yung sagot kasi na-mention siya doon sa last sentence. But guys, for us to indicate a particular choice to be the best title, the title should represent what the entire paragraph is all about. Now remember, that this is an introductory paragraph, and the introductory paragraph, your first paragraph, would normally provide a sneak peek. Kumbaga parang pinapakilala niya kung ano yung mga i-discuss sa mga succeeding paragraph din. And if you guys look into the first paragraph, you cannot see anything in there that discusses the reasons or the various reasons for the choice of destination. So in other words, it simply just introduced to us that there are various reasons, but it did not mention somewhere on the first paragraph what their reasons are. So we cannot really say that letter C is the best title because it mentioned it, but it did not discuss about it. Okay, so we have to look for the best title. So the best one is letter G. Okay, so let's continue with the fifth item. So guys, let's proceed with the fifth question. And in this case, you have paragraph 2. So let's go back to first page. So if you guys open your copy ulit, and let's look in paragraph 2. So I'm flashing it on my screen right now for your reference too. Excuse me. So, paragraph 2, so you have this longer paragraph, so it's lengthier now. And here, we'd be able to apply the skimming technique. So, try natin ngayon yung skimming technique. Medyo mahaba siya eh. So, hindi na siya one or two or three sentence paragraph lang. So, medyo mahaba siya. So, might as well apply the skimming technique. And sabi natin, pag skimming, you focus your attention on the first sentence here, and as well as the last sentence, this one. So if you check on my screen, I highlighted those two sentences. So we're going to focus on those two. So tignan natin. So first sentence says, numerous studies conducted in Britain and the US show that the country of choice depends to a large extent on economic factors. So what is that first sentence telling us? Sinasabi niya dito na in the UK tsaka US, yung primary reason why a certain student chooses these two countries is because of economic factors. In other words, as to whether I could afford being or studying in this country or not. So it's a big factor for me whether I afford it or not. So that's one of the biggest factors for me to decide, if not the biggest. So that's basically what the first sentence is telling me. Now, if you look into the last sentence, so I'll just have to read the last sentence then. In the main, it says students tend to follow the traditional pattern of study for their national group. So what is that last sentence telling us? Well, basically it tells us that if most Japanese citizens would want to study in Australia, then a Japanese student would want to study in Australia because that's what most Japanese citizens would do, right? If most Filipinos opt for the US, then most likely I will be more inclined to studying in the US as well because that's what most Filipinos do, right? So if we were to wrap the idea, guys, of the first and the last sentences. So basically, this paragraph, we have a rough sense that this paragraph is really all about the factors that help a person decide to choose a certain country to study in. So if you're going to get the idea from the first and last sentences. So let's now go back to page 3. So guys, what do you think is the best title among the choices in there? What do you think would be the best title for this question number 5? Right? I mean, if we already have read the first and the last sentences, so it gave us a rough picture of what the title is all about. So what do you think would be the best title in there? Okay. So Daisy says letter C, and yeah, so Mark, yeah, so I spoke with Mark. So hello, Mark. No, so he's actually one of my one-on-one coaching session students. Hello, Mark. You have Daffodil, and most of you answered letter C, right? So if you guys look into letter C, it says there reasons for the choice of destination. That's actually correct, right? Kasi if you try to go back, the first and the last sentences, we're talking about this. There were factors to consider for a student to study in a certain country. So yes, so letter C is the best answer for this number. Okay, so notice guys, you get to save okay. Guys, make sure that you kindly mute your microphone when entering the class. Yeah, I get distracted. So anyway, going back to the fifth question, so it's a letter C, and notice that you get to save a lot of time, no? Kasi you didn't have to read the middle part of the sentences. It's going to be a waste of time. But what we just did is just focus on the first and last sentences, and that's the idea of skimming. Okay, so let's try out number 6. So subukan natin yung sixth question, yung paragraph 3. So let's go back to the first page. So I want you guys to open your copy ulit, and let's proceed with paragraph 3 on the first page then. So I'll just have to resend it sa ating chat messages in case you just came in. I'll just have to share it with you as well ulit sa Facebook Live. So that's what we do here sa Niner online review. We do have discussions similar to this. We do have some reading exercises, and we get to rationalize, of course, answers to every question. Then, so we're just providing a little glimpse of what you'll be expecting once you, of course, join us here at Niner. So let's go back to the third paragraph ulit. So here we notice it's a relatively long paragraph. So let's try to apply skimming technique as well. So our focus is on the first sentence and the last sentence. So let me highlight those the two sentences that I mentioned, no, yung first and last. So the first sentence, the United States attracts the most diverse array of nationalities to its English language classrooms, and this heterogeneity being largely due to its immense pulling power as the world's foremost economy and the resulting extensive focus on US culture. So basically, it tells us that US attracts a lot of students and it attracts various culture. So it attracts Filipinos, it attracts Europeans, it attracts Australians, it attracts Canadians, and all people from different nationalities are attracted to go to the US. And if you continue with the last sentence, I'll just have to highlight the last sentence here. Before furthering their English skills, students in Europe study from predominantly British English material. And most Europeans naturally opt for neighboring Britain, but many Asian, Middle Eastern, and African students decide upon the same route too. In other words, the last sentence tells us that an option, no, for many students as well, especially those coming from Asia, Middle East, and Africa, would also want to study in the UK as well. So it basically tells us that nationalities in the UK are also diverse. So basically, if you're going to wrap what the first and the last sentences are telling us, it basically tells us about the diversity in English language classrooms. So, let's now go back to the choices. So, balikan natin yung paragraph 3. So, guys, among the choices, can you tell me what do you think would be the best title of this question number 6, paragraph 3? Right? So, ano yung pinakamagandang title para dito sa question na to? So, is it A? Is it B? Can we say it's a letter C? Or is it F? 'Di ba? So from the idea, 'di ba sabi natin na nakita natin yung first and the last sentence. So we can actually tell that the best title, isn't it, is letter A, definitely. 'Di ba? Kasi nakita natin yung word na heterogeneity there, no? So it's about diversity. Okay, so there. So again, I just wanted to share to you, to impart to you the idea of skimming technique. We teach this to students because you get to save a lot of time. And in the reading test, ang kalaban mo talaga dito, guys, is yung time eh. So time is your enemy here. So you'd like to find ways to make it efficient, to make it fast for you in answering questions. And one technique, of course, is what we call skimming. Okay, so there. So I just needed to share this idea. So guys, later I won't ask you to answer 7, 8, and 9 anymore, but later I will be giving you a copy of the answer key for your reference so you can continue working on and answer the question 7, 8, and 9, and for you to check your answers afterwards then. Okay, so let me now transfer to switch to another screen. So let's go back to the discussion. So here, so guys, just to recap, I just need to go back again and try to recap the things that we've covered so far. So the first item, do not read the passages. Number 2, you go straight to the question. Third one, you select keywords. For number 4, we introduce the concept of scanning, and you'd be able to use scanning if you're looking for something specific, like several types of questions, which includes multiple choice, you have fill in the blanks, true, false, not given. And of course, for matching headings, we saw some questions kanina, and we mentioned that we try to apply skimming technique when you're looking for general idea or looking for a title. So the best strategy to use is what we call the skimming technique. Okay, so now let's proceed with true, false, not given. So I'm pretty sure most of you are anticipating this discussion we have for true, false, not given. No, so it's one of the most challenging types of questions on the reading test because it's kind of confusing, right? I mean, if you just have two options to choose from, if you just have true or false, it's fairly easy. 'Di ba? Kasi if it's not true, then your answer should be false. 'Di ba? If it's not false, then it must be true. So you just have to choose between the two options. But what makes it challenging, guys, is that you're provided a third option. And that third option is not given. Now, sometimes itong not given na to, iba yung tawag. Minsan not indicated, 'di ba? Pero madalas not given yung tawag nila, but sometimes it's not indicated. So you just have to make sure that you read the instruction carefully as to which correct term to use then. No? So minsan kasi not indicated, minsan not given. Okay, so I have some analogies here on my screen, and I'd like to share to you simple discussions. No, so of course, this is easier said than done. No, in reality, it can be confusing, but I hope through the discussion I have on my screen, this would help shed more light. More enlightenment on how you get to distinguish a true statement from a false statement or from a not given statement. Okay, so guys, let's pretend that the first column. No, so if you guys refer to the first column I have on my screen, let's pretend that this would represent your question. That's why I wrote down Q on top of the first column. Then on the second column, this would represent the passage, and that's why I indicated the letter P to indicate that it's referring to the passage, right? And of course, yung letter A on the third column would tell us about our answer to the question. Okay, so there. So you have the three columns. I repeat, you have Q for questions, you have P for passage, and you have A for answers then. So, let's try the first scenario. No? So, ito, madaling scenario lang siya para madaling maintindihan yung konsepto. So, what I'm teaching you here is the concept of true, false, not given. So, guys, on the first column or the first question, so if you guys look into this, the question tells me, let's pretend, no? So, this is the question on top of the table, like for example, I have a table in front of me, and on top of the table, I have items A, B, and C. Okay, I repeat, what the question tells me is that on top of my table, so I have a table in front of me, I have items A, B, and C, right? So that's what the question is telling me. So, of course, if that's what the question is telling me, and for me to answer the question, I'll have to depend on what the passage is telling me. So, hahanapin ko ngayon itong mga sinabi sa question kung nandun rin siya sa passage. So, you were scanning, no? So, we applied scanning. So, hinahanap natin yung A, B, and C. So, pumunta tayo sa passage and we identified, oh, nakita natin, no? So, meron tayong nakitang table and we saw that sabi sa passage, on top of the table, I have items A and B. Excuse me. I have items A and B. So, question, I want you to think about it. So I want you to think and compare what the question is telling us versus what the passage is telling us. Question, what is the answer for the first question? Is it true? Should I write T here on the third column? Or is it F, right? Or is it NG? So I just need to ask your thoughts regarding this particular question number one. Is it true? Is it false? Or can you say it's not given for the first question? So I repeat, the question says that there are three items, items A, B, and C, and you were looking for it. So you compared it with what the passage tells us, and you saw that it says on the passage that on top of the table, there are items A and B. So question, ano ang sagot dito sa tanong na to? Is it true? Can we say it's false? Or can we say it's not given for this question number one? Right? So tignan natin. So I'd like to see your answers first before we reveal the answers to the questions. Okay. So most of you answered not given on Facebook Live. Now, although some of you answered false as well, I think on our Zoom meeting, some of you answered false, others went for not given, and I think one person answered true then for this question. Okay, so tignan natin ngayon. So guys, I want you to listen carefully to what I'll be telling you. No, so this is very critical. So guys, think about it. No, yung not given. I want you to imagine what it means by not given. Okay, so ang not given, guys. If you try to think about it, no, try to close your eyes and think of the idea of what not given is. Ibig sabihin ng not given, meron sinabi sa question na hindi binigay sa passage. I'll just use English language here. There is something on the question which is not given on the passage. Okay, I'll just have to repeat that. When you answer not given to a question, this means that there's something on the question which is not given on the passage. That's the idea for not given. Remember, you're answering the question. Okay, I just have to stress that. No, it might seem obvious, but sometimes we tend to confuse ourselves. Remember, you're answering the question. Okay, so what does the question tell me? The question tells me rather that you have items A, B, and C. So if you compare it with what the passage says, I only have two items, A and B. So pag may sumobra sa question na hindi sinabi sa passage, ibig sabihin nun, not given. So if you compare, guys, no, so kung titignan natin, letter A is there. So it's true for letter A. Letter B is there. So letter B is true. But C, is C given on the passage? So that's a question. Is C given on the passage? It's not. And therefore, pag may sumobra sa question that wasn't indicated on the passage, so the best answer that we need to come up with is what? It's not given. So it's supposed to be NG for this first question. Okay, so I repeat, I just need to re-stress that one, guys. No, for pag may sumobra, if there's additional idea or statement on the question not given on the passage, then you'll have to go for not given. Okay, so let's try it out the second scenario. Now, the second scenario, guys, if you compare with the next one, on the second scenario, it says on top of the table, I have items A and B, right? So that's what the scenario is telling me. So on top of the table, you have items A and B. So naturally, your tendency is that you're going to look for those two items, right? So you're going to go to the passage and try to look for if there are items A and B found on the passage. So you were looking into the passage and what you saw, so let me now compare it. Nakita mo sa passage, ang sabi niya that on top of the table, there are items A, B, and C. Right? So nagtaka ngayon, teka, bakit may letter C doon sa passage? Tapos sa question naman, ang sinabi niya, dalawang items lang. So there are items A and B. So magtataka, so it's a bit confusing to me, no? So is this true or should I say false or dapat ba not given yung isasagot natin? So question guys, I want to ask your help in answering the second question. Can we say is it a true statement or should we say that this is a false statement or should we say it's still not given no for this question number 2, 'di ba? So tignan natin. So most of you on the FB live answered true. Then here on our Zoom meeting, so I see some people answered true as well. I think one person answered false. Okay. Right. So, tignan natin ngayon. So, guys, remember, you're answering the question. No? So, don't confuse yourself. Focus on what the question is asking you. So, guys, if you go back to the question is simply asking you that to confirm as to are these two items found on the passage. That's your job. You just have to your job is to confirm if the details of the question is found on the passage. So tignan natin. So dito sabi niya yung letter A. So yung tanong ngayon is yung letter A ba is it present in the passage? So the answer is true. 'Di ba? So nakita natin eh. So may letter A siya, so it's found in the passage, so it's supposed to be true. So letter A is true. Then you look into letter B now. So your task is to identify whether B is found on the passage. So nakita mo may letter B. So letter B is true as well. So wala na tayong pakialam guys sa letter C. So we don't care about letter C. Why? Kasi hindi naman siya tinatanong ng question eh. 'Di ba? So the question is not asking about letter C. Sorry, why would I care about letter C? It's not even asked by the question. So why should I bother myself about letter C? So don't confuse yourself, guys. You need to make sure that you focus all your attention in answering the question. Because sometimes some details on the passage can be confusing. Right? And if it's not really relevant to what the question was asking, so why would you bother yourself about letter C? Kasi if you bother yourself about letter C, then chances are you will be coming up with the wrong answer. So here, our purpose is just to determine if A and B are present on the passage. And we saw that it's present on the passage. So what should we answer? I think most of you got it right already. So the answer here is what? Is true for the second number. So we go for letter T for this question. Okay, now let's compare it with the next. I still have a few more scenarios here. So the next scenario, guys, it says on the question, so I'll just have to start with this. The scenario says that on top of the table, I have A and B only. 'Di ba? So pag sinabing only, it's restricted eh. 'Di ba? Parang kumbaga, it's a limitation. You just need to have two only, 'di ba? Yun yung ibig sabihin ng only eh. Then you were trying to compare it, of course, and nakita mo sa passage, and sabi niya, oh, on top of the table there are items A, B, and C. So the question is the question true, or should we say that this is a false, or should we say that it's not given? So balikan ko ulit yung question, ang sabi niya A and B only. Then kinompare mo siya, nakita mo sa passage yung sabi niya A, B, and C. Right? So anong isasagot ko ngayon, 'di ba? So should I say true, or should I say false, or should I say not given? So remember guys, ang idea ng false is that it's supposed to contradict each other. Yun yung idea, no? So I just have to reiterate that, no? When we go for false, this means that the question clearly contradicts what the passage is telling us. So there's a direct contradiction between the two. And here is a sample of a contradiction. Kasi sinabi niya A and B only eh. Tapos sabi sa passage, tatlo. 'Di ba? So that's an obvious contradiction. So here, you'll have to go for letter F for this number. So our answer for this question is false for this. Okay? So let's now proceed with the next scenario. So guys, halimbawa, sabi sa question, on top of the table, I have a blue bag. So obviously, you were looking for that bag, no? Yung blue bag na yon. Ngayon, you look into the passage, and what you saw on the passage is a large bag. So guys, question. How would you answer the question blue bag if the passage says large bag? Right? So what would be the answer here? No, so it's a bit confusing, right? The question says blue bag, so I'm expecting the blue bag on the passage. Pero pagdating sa passage, ang nakita ko large bag. So question is, should I go for true? Is this a true statement? Or should we consider this one, guys, a false statement? Or can we say it's not given? Diba? So I'd like to hear your thoughts about this number. So is it a true statement, or false, or not given? So let's see. So I think some of you answered false, then others went for not given. So it's basically a combination, no? So someone also answered true as well. And for the same also goes with people's Zoom meeting natin. But I think most of you answered not given for you guys. Others are false. So basically, I think people are torn between false and not given for this particular question. Okay, so let's look into the details then. No? So remember, guys, the idea for false is a contradiction. It's a direct contradiction. Okay, it's a direct contradiction. Now, when we say not given, the idea for not given, guys, is that we don't have a basis. Okay, I want you to listen carefully. The idea for not given is that you don't have a basis to say it's true, and you don't even have a basis to say it's false, right? So that's the idea for not given. Sometimes you're presented a statement which somehow doesn't give you a clue. It doesn't give you an evidence to state that it's true or false. So if it's not true, if it's not false, then most likely it's not given. So question, let's go back to the question. Sabi sa question, blue bag. 'Di ba? Ang tanong ko, halimbawa, hypothetically guys, if the question is blue bag, what would be the opposite of blue bag? Is large bag the opposite of blue bag? I just need to ask that question. Is blue bag the opposite of large? What is the opposite of blue bag? 'Di ba? So yun yung tanong ko. Yeah. So let's see. 'Di ba hindi? It's not the opposite eh. Kasi kung halimbawa, sinabi mo na blue bag, ang opposite ng blue bag, edi red bag. Different color. 'Di ba? Kung halimbawa, blue bag yung sinabi sa question, edi pag ang sasabihin sa passage, red bag. Yun, false yun. 'Di ba? So I hope you're getting the point, no? So there is no point of comparison, guys, between color and size. Wala kang basihan para ma-compare yung dalawa. Kasi ano bang malay natin, di ba? Halimbawa, babalikan ko yung passage. Itong large bag na to, alam ba natin kung ano yung color? I just need to ask that question. Yung sinabi niyang large bag dito, does that give you an idea as to what color it is? Did the passage tell you what color it is? No. Wala naman siyang sinabi, di ba? So there's no basis for you to say it's true or false. Because to start with, you're not even sure what color is that large bag. 'Di ba? So you cannot answer true. You cannot answer false here because blue bag is a different idea. It's about the color. And large bag is not even about color, it's about size. So there's no point of comparison between color and size. 'Di ba? There's no direct comparison in there. So how can you tell it's true or how can you tell it's false? They're talking about the different ideas. They're not even related. Yun sinasabi ko kanina that they're not related. So the answer for this question is not given, right? So I hope I made myself clear. The idea for this is not given for this number, right? Because they're not related at all. And of course, with that idea, I'm pretty sure that you'll get the next number correctly. 'Di ba? So kung dito sinabi sa question, it's blue bag, and you compare it with what's presented on the passage, and the passage tells you that it's red bag. So we know that they're completely opposite. So we will have to go for false for this number. No? So I want you to compare the idea, guys. No? So yung previous question, it's not given. And the other question, no, itong latest na to is a false naman. Okay? Now, let's continue with the next set of questions. I still have two more questions for you to answer. So let's start with this one. So guys, the next question is large blue bag. So we see that on the question, you have a large blue bag. Okay? So of course, you were expecting to see large blue bag. Pero pagdating sa passage, ang nakita mo, large bag. So tanong, ano yung sagot mo doon sabi sa question, large blue bag. Tapos ang sabi doon sa passage, large bag. 'Di ba? So what is the answer for this question? So can we say na true si large blue bag or false ba siya or not given itong particular question na to, right? So any thoughts? Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So most of you answered true for this number. How about others? So Archie says false. Veronica says it's not given for this number. Fiona also agrees it's not given as well. Okay, sige. So ito guys, balikan ko yung ano kasi itong latest question na tinanong ko sa inyo, guys, I want you to observe yung pattern nung question na yon, kapareho nung pattern nung unang-unang tanong ko. Right? I want you to compare it with the very first question that I asked you, the one in blue. Right? Do you see any similarity between the first question and the last question? So I want you to compare what's happening with the first scenario and the last scenario. So I want you to compare. There's a similarity between the question, all right, on the first question and the last question. 'Di ba? So I want you to compare, 'di ba? So dito, kung babalikan natin yung first question ulit, C is not given. That's why we answered not given for this first question. And the same goes with the last situation, right? I mean, blue is mentioned on the question, but the question is it mentioned on the passage? 'Di ba? Yun ulit, no? Yun yung idea kanina, guys, na sinasabi ko na pag may sumobra sa question na hindi sinabi sa passage, then of course, that's a not given. So the answer for this number, guys, is not given. So I hope that's clear. I mean, it's easier said than done. I'm pretty sure that some of you here might still be in confusion, right? But of course, this is an FB live discussion, and you'd be able to watch the replay of this. You can watch it as many times as you could until such time, of course, that you'd be able to understand it. No? So some of you might be in confusion, no, up until now, but hopefully you try to rewatch this video next time or tomorrow, and hopefully that clarifies things up. But I hope you get the idea, guys, for the last question here. It's not given for the reason that the color blue found on the question is not even mentioned on the passage. So ibig sabihin, sumobra yung question na hindi sinabi sa passage. Okay? So let's continue with the last. I think this is the last question I have for you. So let me now adjust my screen first. Ito guys, for the last question, no? So yung question, large bag, I'll just have to switch to a different color, and I compare it with what's written on the passage, and the passage tells me it's large blue bag. So guys, ano yung sagot doon sa question? Large bag sabi sa question, tapos I compare it with what's written on the passage. Sabi niya, large blue bag. So what is the answer for this number, for this particular question? 'Di ba? So can we say it's true, or is it false, or not given ba ang statement natin? Okay. So ano yung sinasagutan natin, or ano yung task natin? So ang task natin, guys, is to determine if there's a large bag on the passage. Ulitin ko yung question kasi, ang tinatanong, may large bag. So of course, hahanapin natin sa passage, sa second column, kung may large bag. So ang tanong ngayon, may large bag ba sa passage? So that's a question. Is there a large bag on the passage? Yes, there is. So why would you answer not given? Why would you answer false, guys? I mean, clearly the passage says large blue bag. So that's a large bag. I mean, regardless if it's color blue, I don't care. Right? What I'm really after is answering the question. Remember, guys, you're answering the question. Don't confuse yourself into thinking that you're answering the passage. I think that's where the confusion happens minsan. See, some people think that you're answering the passage. You're not answering the passage. You're answering the question. Your task is just to simply identify if the question is true, false, or not given. So here, nakita natin large bag. Diba? So hahanapin natin, large bag ba yung sinabi sa passage? Oo, large bag. 'Di ba? So wala tayong pakialam sa blue. Hindi naman yung tinatanong ng question eh. So here, the answer for this number is what? Is true for this particular question. So I'll just have to write it down here sa ating screen as a true statement. So I'll just have to write here true, no? So yan. So hindi ko na nasulat doon, pero you'll find it there at the bottom. So the answer here is true for this number. Okay, so there. So again, hopefully that's just a glimpse of our discussion on true, false, not given. It's something that we discuss in greater detail in our sessions, in our online review at Niner. And of course, this is a live discussion which you can replay as many times you could. So if in case it's not clear, then you can just keep replaying this video then yeah, no, so hopefully that clarifies it. So it's easier said than done. I want you to try to apply the concept. Now, when you do your practice, try to apply the concepts that I'm teaching you. Of course, once you get to master the concept, and you'd be able to apply it in real life situations or in real questions for the reading test. And well, for number 8, I'll just have to wrap things up already. So for number 8, it says don't waste time answering difficult questions. No, so kasi kung ano yung equivalent na point ng isang number na mahirap, it's going to be the same equivalent point that you have for easy questions, no? So don't waste your time, no? Kasi yun yung minsan yung mga iba na nasa stuck sila sa isang particular question na mahirap and they could not move on to the next questions na madali sana. So, I recommend that you try to skip those more difficult questions, and of course later hopefully you have enough time to get back to them. And even a process of isolation, no? Kasi elimination rather. Halimbawa, yung mga matching headings, no? So like for example, you skip difficult questions and you go into easier questions. So later on, when you get back to the more difficult questions, the choices are more limited. Mas kaunti na yung pagpipilian mo kasi nasagutan mo na yung mga easier questions, eh. So, so you can use this technique also to your advantage. And just like in the listening test, I recommend that you write your answers in all caps, although there's no black and white rule when it comes to writing your answers in the listening and reading test, but it has become a standard here at Niner that we recommend students to make sure that you write your answers in all caps. Now, for the reason that you avoid problems you might have for capitalization, and even avoid problems when it comes to poor penmanship if in case you plan to answer or try out the paper delivered tests. Okay, so yeah, so that's actually about it for tonight. So guys, I will just have to update the materials that I shared with you. So apart from the reading material that I asked you to download earlier, I also include the complete set of answer key. So I also be sharing to you guys the answer key then. You can open it later and check your answers for the remaining questions that you have on the passage for your copy. Then for the discussions, yung mga true false not given na sinabi ko dito, so or diniscuss ko dito, so I also will be sharing to you a copy for your reference too. So just give me one moment. I'll just pull it out and send it sa FB Messenger. Sorry, sa ano na sa Zoom meeting at saka sa FB Live, right? So just give me one moment. Okay. Okay, so there. So guys, please refer to our chat messages on FB Live. So I sent to you the complete set of materials. So apart from the reading passage, I also included the reading major discussion that I presented earlier alongside with the answer key for the reading material, if in case you wish to answer the additional questions that we have in there on that reading passage. And yeah, so that's about it. No, so again, this is just a glimpse of what we cover here on our face or on our Niner online review. So I hope I was able to impart to you some insights in answering questions, especially for true, false, not given, matching headings, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so that's about it. So thank you guys for the time, and of course, I'd like to thank the management of IFNG for for accommodating me for tonight. So there. So hello guys.
Hello, Sir Fritz.
Hello.
Yes, thank you so much for
Ay,
that
salamat.
very informative po discussion. And I hope our viewers were able to grasp everything. And but if not, like what Sir Fritz have mentioned, this will be uploaded to our
Yeah.
YouTube channel as well. And
Okay.
yeah, the 9.0 Niners. Is that YouTube as well, Sir Fritz? Or
I think sa Facebook
No,
rin
only
Facebook?
on
namin. Yeah,
Facebook.
so yeah, it
Yes,
will
all
be
right.
uploaded. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you, Sir Fritz. Looking
Okay, salamat.
forward
Okay, salamat
for
din. Looking
Thank
more
you,
forward
Sir
as well.
sessions.
Fritz.
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Fritz. Thank
you.
you, Miss Mitch.
Yeah,
See
so
you
Thank you,
thank you.
thank
everyone.
you.
Oh,
Thank you.
salamat.
Good
Okay,
Good
night.
night. Thank
good night.
you.